All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rob Cagnetta, and this is a meeting of the South Kingstown, Rhode Island Zoning Board of Review. Members present tonight are Thomas Daniels, our Vice Chairman, Arlene Hicks, Jeff Elia, and alternate William McDonald. Also present are Amy Goins, the South Kingstown Special Legal Counsel, Jamie Gorman, the South Kingstown Building and Zoning Official, and Ben Barbara, our Building and Zoning Associate. The board is made up of 8 people with 5 regular voting members. A minimum of 4 members must be present to vote. In the event that regular members are absent or recused, an alternate will step in. No more than 5 members are entitled to vote, and at least 3 voting members are needed to grant the relief requested. Tonight, the voting members will be myself, Mr. Daniels, Ms. Hicks, Mr. Elia, and Mr. McDonald. The applicants are here for either a dimensional or a use variance or a special use permit. The board is a quasi-judicial body created by the South Kingstown Ordinance pursuant to state statutes. We don't follow strict rules of evidence, and we operate in what we believe to be in a fair and equitable manner. We try to let everybody speak unless you get carried away or it's deemed not relevant. So for the interest of time, please be brief and on point. We do our best not to argue and keep things civil, and we try to hear our last petition by 10 o'clock. Start it by 10 o'clock. We'll see how we do tonight. After we introduce your petition, please step up to the microphone right there and adjusting it as necessary. It's flexible so you can move it around. There's a button on there that turns it red where the person is. You just have to turn it red every time before you're going to speak and then turn it off when you're not speaking, or else we get some, as they say, wicked feedback. So you'll then be asked to clearly state and spell your name for the record. You'll then be asked to take an oath to tell the truth. After that, you can present your petition with any witnesses to testify in support of the application. The board will then ask you or your witnesses questions. So, and after the petitioner has presented their testimony, anyone with questions in support of or opposition to the petition can step up to the microphone. You will again identify yourself, be sworn in, and present your testimony to follow-up questions from the board. Please do not direct any questions or comments to any of the petitioners or any other witnesses. The board will direct questions to the petitioner or the witnesses after the comment period. So after hearing all the testimony, board members will discuss the application and evidence presented. Board members will ask a lot of questions, and there's a good reason. We cannot just grant anything we choose, and there are rules to follow per the South Kingstown Ordinance. So you must give testimony in support, or to support certain facts that allow the request to be approved. So tonight we have dimensional and special use permits on the agenda. No, sorry, we don't have any special use, do we? Nope.
One use.
Yeah. So we have a dimensional variance, and you have to present the following evidence: that your hardship is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or the structure, but it is not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area; that your hardship is not the result of any prior action on your part; that the granting of the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area; and your hardship by the denial of the variance will amount to more than a mere inconvenience. And that means that the relief you're seeking is minimal to responsibly and reasonably, enjoy the permitted use of the property that you're proposed for. So, but we'll help everybody through it. We have a couple things here tonight that can go astray, and we'll do our best to kind of keep it on task. So, we're just going to go out of order for the first one. Is anyone here for the petition of Henry Cabrera? This is the appeal to a notice of violation by the zoning enforcement officer. We have a letter here from Stephen Angel, which I'll just kind of summarize. This is for the Lavender Waves Farm. They're requesting a continuance to the appeal and to a date certain in March 2026. So the basis of the request is that we will provide to they had some abutter issues in getting all the records out, I guess, is the concern. So We've continued, I know this has been on the docket for quite some time, but they're asking for a continuance to March of 2026. Ms. Goins, did you have something to add to that?
Nope.
Oh, sorry, you're just nodding in approval. Thank you. Okay, so the request was made. What's the meeting date for March, by chance? 25th? So, March 25th. Does anybody have any concerns about this? Comments? Mr. Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How many continuances have we had on this? Does anybody have an idea?
This is actually a new appeal, because if you remember, the appeal was originally filed, and then this board denied it without prejudice, because the attorney had requested several continuances, but then, I think it was in December, right? May have been in December or November. We didn't have a request for a continuance. I advised the board it should simply be denied without prejudice, because the appellant and legal counsel hadn't appeared for the hearing. So they've appealed again, which stays enforcement of the notice of violation. There's nothing at this time to enforce, because my understanding is the notice of violation was issued for weddings. There's no weddings taking place on the property at this time. Further, I understand that the property owner, through his legal representative, has filed or attempted to file an application for development plan review to the planning board, which is what the notice of violation requested to cure the violation. So my suggestion to the board would be to allow the continuance, to let the appeal proceed next month.
Well, my concern is, was it re-noticed when they came back again, or was it noticed one time only?
So it's on the agenda, and the attorney did have to send out notice to abutters, and apparently one of those notices came back, which is why he requested a
Right,
continuance.
I understand, but when did that happen? Didn't that happen back several months ago on the initial appeal?
I don't know if we ever got the green cards indicating that notice was served to abutters as required for the initial appeal, but in any event, this was treated as almost a new appeal, because remember, the first one was denied. So this is a new application that was filed recently, a new appeal application.
I understand, but he's asking for us to continue based on failure of notice.
Correct.
If he noticed it back in the beginning, then he had 3 months to figure out the returns, which apparently didn't happen, and then indicate at that time, 2 or 3 continuances ago, that there was a faulty notice. And now at this date, he's on the agenda again, and he's claiming faulty notice. So, I mean, it's got to end here somewhere. I would, as far as I'm concerned, I would just uphold the decision of the building official and let it go from there, but that's just me.
Any other board members? Thoughts or comments on this? Mr. Elia?
Do we know if any other events have been scheduled for the fall at that location, which would indicate their intent to continue irregardless of the decision?
I don't believe that's publicly available for us to know if it's booked.
Anyone else? I certainly agree with your frustration, Mr. Daniels, but it sounds like that we should allow the process to move forward with the planning board to kind of see if they're able to come up to a resolution. Is that the intent, or no?
Well, I think it sounds like what they're doing is they want to preserve their right to have an appeal on the merits before this board, but maybe to cover their bases, they're also making the application that we think they should have made in the first place. Okay. I think, this board likes to have substantive hearings. I would suggest let's deal with the substance when it's procedurally ready to be dealt with.
Okay. All right, well, in that, if there's no one else wants to speak on this, I will make a motion for a continuance to March 25th, 2026 for the Lavender Waves petition, Cabrera. Is there a second? second by Mr. Elia. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Elia? Mr. Daniels?
Nay.
Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald? Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. So, okay, so next on the agenda is the continuation of the petition of Milton Rogers. Is someone here for that? Okay. 70 Foster Sheldon Road, South Kingstown, Rhode Island, 02879, for an appeal to the zoning board under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to appeal the decision issued by the zoning enforcement officer dated June 25th, 2025, related to the premises located at 28 Columbia Street. The owner of the property is Rogers Home, Inc., for premises located at 28 Columbia Street, South Kingstown. Assessors map 57-1, lot 43, and is zoned CN, commercial neighborhood. So is the petitioner here, or anyone from Milton? No. Did we know that?
Mr. Chairman, I know Milton Rogers was here in December and requested the continuation, and he was advised to have his attorney present for the following meeting. He was also made aware of last month's, because we weren't having the meeting for lack of a quorum, that it would be continued to this month. I haven't received any communication from him or his attorney.
So what should we do? Should we just,
I would suggest deny without prejudice. If they want to, you know, when someone files an appeal, they're supposed to be here to present the reasons for appeal. And Mr. Rogers, again, was here without counsel, although we know counsel has entered on behalf of the owner. I'm not sure why we don't have an attorney here tonight, but I would just suggest deny without prejudice or continue to next month. I think it's up to the board at this point.
and Mr. Gorman, you mentioned that they were trying to, some other means to like have the property. Are they going through the planning board as well to try to redesignate the property as a different use?
I believe it's gonna have to take a text amendment, a zoning ordinance change
Right.
to allow the use moving forward.
And by denying without prejudice, that is putting them where?
Denying the appeal without prejudice is not a denial on the merits. It's a denial because we can't proceed without them here.
Okay.
So I think that would just leave them to file a new appeal and get back on the board's docket. So the board could either do that, or if you want to be extra nice, you could continue it again to March 25th.
So I will ask the board how they're feeling about that. So,
I don't want to be nice.
all right, Mr. Elia, Mr. Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have the same concerns on this one. It's been continued forever and ever. It seems to me that no matter what we do with this appeal of the zoning board, of the zoning officials' order, they're going to have to come here for another special use permit anyway, because the special use permit that was granted has expired. Am I correct on that?
That's correct.
So they would have to come here anyway.
If you grant the appeal, you could, their appeal is asking you to essentially rescind the building official's decision that the special use permit expired. So they're asking you to get into the facts on whether construction had proceeded and whether that zoning relief was actually perfected or did expire. So potentially, if you grant the appeal, that will be that, and they'll have a valid special use permit in hand. But that would be a decision for you to review on the merits.
Okay, I would support deny without prejudice.
Okay, is that a motion? Sure. Okay. Any other discussion? Board members? Ms. Hicks?
I'll just go on the record as saying I don't have a problem continuing it for one more month.
Okay. Okay. Mr. McDonald?
Sure, I agree with the majority here so far and deny without prejudice and let them come back and file another appeal.
Okay. All right. Without hearing any other discussion, we have a motion by Mr. Daniels and a second by Mr. Elia. So we'll just go through the votes. Mr. Daniels? Aye. Mr. Elia? Aye. Ms. Hicks?
No?
Mr. McDonald? Aye. Mr. Cagnetta, aye. So we are denying without prejudice. Okay. So is Mr. Ford here tonight? All right, very good. So we're on a roll. Continuation for the petition of Tyson Ford, 95 Inkberry Trail, Narragansett, Rhode Island, 02882 for a variance, use variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to establish a 10 by 20 storage shed on a vacant parcel. The storage shed is only permitted on a property which contains a principal use. Therefore, relief is requested. The lot size is .13 acres. Use variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 300 and section 907. The owner of the property is Tyson Ford for premises located at 0 Tomahawk Trail, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 34-2, Lot 114, and is zoned R20. So this is continuing on from a few months ago. So good evening. We'll just state your name and we'll swear you back in.
Tyson Ford.
Just turn on the mic, the red little person there.
Tyson Ford.
Yep, and spell your name for us.
Tysonford.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So it looks like we got a couple other documents from you. Do you want to talk us through what you got?
Sure. This is as you requested, to have the surveyor put on exactly where the shed would be placed. As you see, I made it the same size as my neighbor's shed, requesting for 8 by 10. This is the one where DEM asked if the town would approve it for as close as possible to the front corner of the property. That would be where it has the most likelihood of being able to be approved. Again, what they sent in isn't an official approval letter. It was just a pre-application approval. That was it for that picture. I put it, I put in a few other pictures of sheds that are in the surrounding neighborhood. Like when you first pull into Indian Lake off the highway there, I mean, the first house has a shed that's less than 10 feet from the road, where I'm asking it's about 20-something, right at the end of my road, there's another shed that's right out in the front of their driveway. Where I'm asking to put it isn't in front of the house next to me. It's right along the same frontage,
Yep. And how did you determine the placement of the shed itself?
DEM, you asked me to have DEM say where they would like it to be placed or where they would approve it.
And this letter from DEM
Yes, that should be on the
provided
notes.
some guidance to that?
Correct.
And you're kind of aware of what they said in it?
Yes.
Which it's interesting that they sort of were talking loosely, non-conclusively, but yet they pretty much said that it's a wet lot, right?
Correct. I've had the biologists come in and do the microbiology.
Yep.
They've staked the surrounding areas where the wetlands are, and with the setbacks, without approval of a variance,
Well, for the shed, certainly. I mean, I guess what struck me was the fact that they said in the second paragraph, they said, in a nutshell, the existing condition of the site is that it is all swamp and all buffer within the buffer zone. So they're basically saying it's very challenging site to build on.
Very challenging, correct.
So is your intent to utilize this property for a dwelling and a shed, or you're just thinking at this point that the only thing you can use it for is a shed?
Well, at this point, there was more that we spoke about. I put the pictures up there. The town has since, uncovered a drain that wasn't there. I had it put on my, on this survey, but other than this survey, it's not on any recorded map with the town. It was covered before. The pictures are in there that show the before and after pictures. And, you know, DEM, they talk about it a little bit in that letter, but without that drain that's draining water, you know, that's gonna continue to keep draining water, it makes it super challenging to be able to do any other type of development, so.
And so it's, I mean, it seems to suggest that since, well, you can't, it's an interesting position because it sounds like the only thing you can do is put a shed here on the property.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, even by DEM's, like they're saying, there's really no place for a house. But there is a location that they thought would be suitable for a shed.
Correct.
So really, it's a very unique position for us to be in using a property that can't have a building on it, other than a shed.
Correct.
And that's why you're here.
Exactly.
But it's gonna make it a challenge, like if it were that the shed's coming first and the house is coming next, then it's something that we'd be like, okay, well, let's understand the placement of the buildings to make sure that everything looks and feels like it should. But this is just gonna pretty much be a shed unless something changes with the site.
Well, hopefully it does change. You know, they have allowed me, like I said, you know, I've went through a whole fight with DEM on my uses and what I'm allowed to do on the property. You know, at first the drain, not this drain, because this is the new one that is put up on the top that's draining water onto my property, but the other drain as well was completely covered. And so, of course, for a decade of water just draining onto the property and not flowing out of the drain that's there and being covered up, the property was super wet. And
Right.
so that was another discussion that they said in there, was like when they came, it was the wettest season, and it was the first year that drain actually got uncovered. And so, you know, where water would flow out as it should, like the design
Right.
was supposed to be, you know? And, I mean, hopefully in the future, DEM would find a place where I could put a house, you know? I have people come back, and it's a timeline thing. I don't know what exact amount of years, but they come back and they the environmental biologist restakes and resubmits whatever soil tests that they need to do.
Right.
And maybe it makes it smaller, and the boundaries and the buffer zones are smaller, and maybe there is a spot that I'm able to put the house, you know?
Okay. Well, but it sounds like for now, at least from what we understand, that there's really only one place you can put a structure, and that's pretty much where they've identified it. So
Correct.
now it's a matter of us determining if it's appropriate to have just a shed.
Correct.
And so you understand in terms of the uses of the shed and the uses of the property are fairly limited still?
Yes.
Like, you know, you can use the shed for well, I don't want to say whatever you want, but no electricity, no plumbing, there's, you know, no overnights or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know.
It's just for me to put the fishing stuff, the few things that I utilize. You know, like there's a grill that just sits out there, and yeah, can it sit there? Absolutely. Is it rusted and completely destroyed from sitting in the snow and getting damaged all winter long? Absolutely.
Right.
And goes along with all my kids, you know, life jackets, their bikes. There's a little community park there that they, you know, that they can literally walk to and ride their bikes. Where do I put their bikes? Out on the lawn? You know, I'm just trying to make it look nice. I mean,
Sure.
I know it's a challenging thing with my neighbors as well, you know, but I just want the neighborhood to look nice, and I think it will look a lot better with a shed that has everything put inside of it and stored neat and orderly compared to just thrown out and just laying out everywhere.
Sure. I mean, I'm just saying it just so, I mean, I'm sure you're fully aware that folks will be looking. And
Oh,
watching, so.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Board members, do you have questions?
Yeah, I just
Mr.
want to
Daniels?
question you sent 2 photos in on other sheds. Now, are those sheds alone on the property, or is a house attached to it?
Those all houses attached to them. There's no sheds by themselves in any lot.
Okay, so.
My lot is super unique because of the size and because of the drainage that's happening with the property.
Sure. My question is just on those 2 photos that you submitted. There's a house on that property along with those 2 sheds of the photo. Okay,
Yes.
thank.
Okay, any other questions from board members right now? Not yet. Do you want to add anything else? I don't want to cut you off by any means. I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to ask what they need to. No, that's all right. It's all right. We're here for you right now. And we'll certainly hear your other folks and what they have to say as well. And then I'm sure you'll come back up. So, all right, great. Anyone else out there want to speak on behalf of this petition, either for or against? I know that just so everybody knows, all the testimony that's happened so far is in the record and it is part of this discussion already. So really, we're looking for new things that are related to this particular property and this particular request. So I'll just say that. Does anybody want to come up and talk about this? Yeah, come on up. Just make sure the mic's on. And again, state your name and spell it for us, please.
Jane Bessette, Janebessette.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So go ahead, what would you like to say?
Okay. First off, I'll just address 2 things that Mr. Tyson Ford just said, and then I'll move on to what my prepared remarks were. The drainage that is on Red Feather Trail.
Okay, we're not here to talk about the drainage.
Okay, good. Okay, then I'll skip it. I would like to address first the most pertinent DM considerations on this lot. Prior to the sale of this lot in 2023, the Realtor asked David Kalin.
Okay, so we're only here for the shed. We're not here necessarily for if the...
This kind of goes to it.
Okay.
The wetness of the lot. That Mr. Kalin stated that he was unable to do soil tests because the lot was so wet.
Right, and we have a determination by the DEM that says
Okay.
the placement of the shed in this area is the best placement based on the conditions of the site,
Okay.
which are a wet site. So there's no dispute the fact that the
Okay.
site is wet.
What percentage of it is wet and
It's not
everything
necessarily
else?
relevant to
Okay.
this, per se.
Okay. All right, then I will move on. To the zoning considerations. The zoning board's responsibility, which I'm sure I don't need to remind you all of, is to ensure compliance with the town's comprehensive plan and not alter the general characteristics of a community. Currently, there are 17 lots within the Indian Lake Shores Fire District with no primary dwelling. These lots would most likely be deemed unbuildable due to factors such as ledge and wetlands. Granting this variance would open those lots to becoming shed lots, impacting approximately 12% of our district's lots. This would alter the character of the community and could potentially be applied to other South Kingstown areas.
But our decision tonight is not a precedent.
Okay.
Each applicant is determined individually.
Okay,
So just because one person does it means that someone else can.
all right, but it is a concern of the fire district.
Understood, but that's not
Occurs.
how the board works.
Okay.
So,
All right. Also, in the 2014 Town of South Kingstown Comprehensive Plan, it was stipulated that special care and site planning must be taken to preserve the character of a community. By allowing these lots or a lot with just a shed on it, rather than a primary dwelling and a shed, we feel as though that is not preserving the character of the community.
How so? Like,
Because having just a shed there versus a dwelling in a shed, number one, you're supposed to have a dwelling to have the shed. That's one of, I thought, the things in the code.
Well, that's why he's asking for a variance. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And we're concerned that there are other, as I said, there are other lots
Mhm.
that definitely I can foresee these kinds of petitions coming from those lots.
Okay.
Already, this is a non-conforming lot. This application would create another non-conforming feature. And it is my understanding that it is required that non-conforming lots comply with all restrictions, with the most restrictive having precedence. Lots with a dwelling would have precedence, but because it is very unlikely that a dwelling would be viable on this lot, the restrictions on a shed being on this lot should be observed, in our opinion.
Okay.
In order to consider a variance, hardship must be demonstrated. No hardship has been demonstrated in this application. The property owner has full use of his lot and has already made use of the lot, storing various items on the lot, including boats, grills, and chairs. Currently, the property's owner residence is within a 12-minute drive from the lot. No travel hardship is demonstrated for storage purposes. The property owner is entitled to all rights and privileges of district ownership, including the use of 2 beaches, one of which is about 100 feet from his lot, where boats are readily stored for the summer season, which he is more than entitled to do. And we have never had an incident with any damage or anything occurring to those boats. A boat dock and a playground area with a public boat dock abutting the southern area of the district are also available for his use. I would say that the owner has significant ways to enjoy this lot and the community that is in, and does not require a shed to do so.
Okay. So you think he shouldn't have a shed and just leave the stuff on the property?
What I'm saying is, if he wants to have a grill there, I leave my grill outside.
Okay.
I put a cover on it.
Okay. So the bikes, you're fine with them just being outside, a canoe or whatever, just outside?
The canoes and kayaks were there most of the summer.
Okay.
Not a problem. And as I said, the district beach is 100 feet
But
from
you're
his
saying,
property.
but you're saying for him to enjoy his property, he can leave his stuff on his property and that's okay?
Yes.
Instead of it in his shed is the problem? But he can leave it out?
We're concerned about a structure
Okay.
being placed.
Okay. But you're fine if stuff is just left out?
More or less. I mean, his children.
I mean, he's allowed to leave stuff out?
Yeah, I leave stuff out. Hey.
Sure.
But, you know, his children's life jackets and bicycles, those can come and go easily enough.
Okay.
So I don't see that as particularly a hardship.
Well, he can leave them on the lawn too, or he can leave them out in the property
Yeah,
as well?
right, cover it.
Sure.
So, that having been said, I applaud his thought
Okay.
to improve the appearance of the lot, because it has been looking rather, prior to him cleaning it up recently,
Mhm.
it has been looking rather poorly
Okay.
prior to that. I think he cleaned it up to present it for this application.
Okay.
I also want to make you aware of the height of the building that he is proposing.
As long as it's under the height of an accessory building, then it can which is 16 feet, is it?
So this is, so what he's proposing is
15 feet?
16 feet, yeah,
Okay.
all right. And,
I mean, it would have to, like, he'd still need a permit for it, so it would have to be
Right.
under the height,
right,
yeah. So it would be checked.
and, no concerns about the setbacks from the road?
Well, it sounds like he was presenting it as there are other sheds in the neighborhood that are as close to the front property line as he's proposing.
Okay, all right,
So,
that's what I have for now.
so, and if, let's say in 3 years, the property is dry, that means you can build on it. So you're fine then.
I am fine with whatever DEM is fine with.
Okay. I mean, they're fine with the shed and it's where they're proposing it. DEM.
I'm a little surprised at that,
Mm-hmm.
given that I spoke just yesterday with DEM,
Okay.
and this was not something that was expressed, and that was from the Office of Inspection and Compliance.
Did you see the letter from the DEM?
I did not, I'm sorry.
okay.
No.
Because they did say that if it were to be placed anywhere in that spot is where they suggested is the driest spot
Okay.
of the lot.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The application as presented was for a 10 by 20.
Yes, he modified the design.
Okay. Can you modify that
Hmm?
without reapplying?
Yes. Yep, it was based on our suggestion as well as to get a little smaller, so he can alter it.
Without putting in a new application? Okay.
Yes. I say that with some hesitation, but yes. I mean, you can make it small, right? You can,
Absolutely.
you
I
can
would
make it
agree with that.
smaller.
So initially, it was submitted as 200 square feet, and now it's been revised to 80 square feet.
Right.
I would note, however, though, the latest survey shows it positioned 5.5 feet from the front property line, where the front yard setback requirement's 9.9.
Okay.
So whether he would like to respect that 9.9, if not, at the 5.5, he would have to seek dimensional relief.
Okay, so he didn't come here for a dimensional relief, so for him to move it to that 5.5 means he has to refile if we're approving it at that location?
Or renotice with accurate relief.
Okay.
So the board could either grant it, but just grant relief for the placement of a shed at of those dimensions on the shed. And if he wants to make it dimensionally, compliant with respect to setbacks, he'd have to move it. And he'd have to submit a new site plan for Jamie's review.
Okay, so all we could do is
That's all
approve
you-
the new size, but not the location of 5.5 feet. It has to be within the setback of 9.9, or else it is a new application.
Right.
So I'm very glad you brought that up. So,
Yeah,
thank
because
you.
we didn't advertise, this was advertised initially as a use variance, not requiring
dimensional.
dimensional relief.
Right, yeah, we can go smaller, which is fine, but you are correct that changing its location in the way he did, that is no longer in a setback. He would be required for a dimensional. So at this point, we would need to approve it the 9.9 feet away, and then DEM would have to approve it to be in that location. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate it. Yeah, hang on a sec. Mr. Daniels?
If Mr. Ford chose to purchase a couple of big blue tarps and put all his equipment in the area where the shed is going to go and cover them with blue tarps, would that be out of character with the neighborhood?
I'm sorry. That's a question I don't know if I'm qualified to answer.
But I mean, he could do that.
Oh, of course he could.
Would you be happy with that? As opposed to a building,
I
an
cannot
8 by 10
speak.
building?
I cannot speak for the residents that abut this property,
Okay.
other than having the fire district as an abutter because of our beach. I don't think that those directly abutting or within the vicinity would be terribly thrilled.
Would be what?
Would be terribly thrilled.
Okay.
But is it a violation of an HOA or anything like that to have that sort of?
The Indian Lake Shores Fire District is not an HOA.
So, okay. But, I mean, so you realize he can do other things?
He can do other things, yes,
Okay.
that are within his purview.
Right. And even, Jamie, there was a photograph of one of those plastic pop-up tents. Like what are they called? With the metal bars. It's not a permanent.
This one right here.
Yeah, that one. That's in the photograph. Is that considered a permanent shed?
A portable tent structure, no.
Like those aren't? Okay.
No, for like picnics and whatnot, that
Yeah,
collapsible?
he submitted the 2 sheds or 3 sheds. Just those plastic tarp pop-ups.
No, no, that wouldn't classify as a structure or accessory structure, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
So I guess the question would be, would that be acceptable or out of character?
I think that would be, as it is a non-permanent structure, perhaps a viable alternative.
Okay, well, in your opinion, would it be out of character with the neighborhood?
I'm not sure which of the, like, tent, like garage things that he's referencing, what the address was on that property. But I know of a shed in the district that recently went up that fits that description, and it is of a temporary nature.
Right, yeah, it's like these guys.
Right.
Temporary could be year, 2, 3, 4.
It could be for the summer. Could be for the winter to
Again,
protect a camper or something.
Well, there's no limit. You can put one up every year.
Right.
Is it out of character with the neighborhood? That's my question, in your opinion.
I don't feel qualified to speak for
Well,
the character
you
of the
live
neighborhood.
there, and you're a member of the neighborhood, so I accept that you don't want to answer it. I accept that, thank you.
All right, thank you. I can't speak for everyone.
Okay, but you don't have a problem with something like that?
I repeat, I cannot speak. I can only
You're not speaking for the neighborhood, it's
I
just
can
for
speak
you.
for myself personally.
Sure. I'm not, I mean, are you representing the whole community right now?
I came initially representing the community.
Okay.
However, given this particular line of questioning, I don't feel as though I am qualified to answer these questions as representative of the community, because these questions have not been discussed with the community via a council meeting or what have you, or with the abutters.
Okay, well, I mean, regardless, it can happen. Like, so if it's
I
not a
guess so.
permanent structure, then it can be something temporary. Just so you know. So, I mean, and it doesn't sound like it's against any rules for him to do that. So,
I would have to go back and look at the Indian Lake Shores Fire District's stipulations. There are some stipulations as far as sheds and what have you, but they go back quite a few years.
well, this person has it in the neighborhood,
Right.
so nobody has a problem with that.
Is that something that the town grants a permit for?
No, they're
Okay.
temporary structures,
Okay.
so.
All right. All right.
I mean, the difference is that we're, you know, even the shed doesn't have to have a permanent foundation, but it needs to be mechanically connected to the ground. But it doesn't have a permanent foundation per se. So this is a step away from a shed, which isn't even technically permanent, but, okay. Board members, any other questions for this witness? No? Well, thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I
Anyway,
guess
oh,
that was my question. Is,
you're fine.
is a shed
Mhm.
considered permanent? Where it's, I assume, some type of truck or whatever comes and drops it on a pad, and it could just as easily be reversed and taken away?
I guess the definition of permanent could be argued, but certainly it's going to require a permit and be considered an accessory structure. So, I mean, governed by, you know, that definition and ordinance, you know, it would apply, you know, accessory structure setbacks. But as for the temporary nature, you know, I guess it could be argued what is temporary if you could have a tent up for years. But certainly a shed, it's expected to be there for, I would imagine, years.
And there are some types of sheds or structures that need a building permit, and there are some that don't, correct?
That's correct. So effective December 1st of 2025, the threshold is 64 square feet or under is permit exempt. And so anything over that would require a building permit.
So if this shed were reduced to 64 square feet, would it need zoning relief if it doesn't need a building permit?
It wouldn't need a, it would still be a structure in my opinion, but it would be exempt from a permitting. Yeah, and so prior to December 1st, the threshold set by the building code was 200 square feet. So, you know, the state changes that every 3 years on the cycle, or they may change it, revert it back to 200. So right now, it's 64 square feet and under are permit exempt.
So I think it becomes somewhat of a, yeah, you just, defining what is a permanent structure will be a challenge somewhat.
A mailbox, no, but a shed, yes.
Right, but when we say a shed, we're thinking like permanent walls is, I mean, I don't know how they define a shed in the zoning.
Walls and a roof would be, you know,
Okay,
a layman.
so a tarp is not
Correct.
a walls and roof, okay.
If I may, regardless of the definition of and size of the structure, it's still in the front yard, which requires a variance, because sheds are not allowed in the front yard under our ordinance. And he also needs a variance because there's no principal structure. So either way, he's got to clear here, regardless of the size of the shed. He's got to clear those two hurdles, in my opinion, regardless of, and work that out with you, the size of the shed.
Yes, and I think the question for the board and, you know, the legal standard you need to determine if this clears that hurdle is the applicant deprived of all beneficial use of the property if he can't install the shed as presented? Is it an alternative for him to have some kind of pop-up tent? And that's for you to decide.
Okay. All right. I wanted to acknowledge a letter that was written by Raymond Paparian from the president of the Indian Lake Shores Fire District, which had also reiterated some of the very same things that Ms. Bissett did. Let's see, to summarize, there are, well, mentioning the several non-conforming, non-buildable lots. He also mentions a grant that established the neighborhood, but, you know, whatever easements or distances from sidelines or otherwise that was mentioned in that grant does not necessarily supersede our zoning ordinance. So that doesn't necessarily have bearing here. But, but I just wanted to acknowledge that again, that they're saying the very same things that Ms. Bissett had said. So, all right, anyone else out there want to speak on behalf of this petition for or against? Okay, Mr. Ford, did you want to follow up with anything? Do you want to answer any of the things, any of the statements made or anything like that? Not that you need to, but it's up to you.
I'm just asking for a temporary, you know, shed. I'm not, you made a good point, like with the pop-up tents and everything. Like, I'm just trying to make my neighborhood look nice. I think the shed would be the most logical thing.
Sure. Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions, board members of the applicant? Thank you, appreciate it. All right, any other discussion on this? I know we spent some time on this. Now we have what we asked for, which is some guidance from DEM. I don't know how much that helps sort of the concerns about having a shed on a property that does not have a building. Because that's why we're here, is that typically a site has to have a principal dwelling in order for it to have an accessory dwelling. So you can come on up. Well, hang on, just go to the mic, please.
Other thing I was gonna say is I submitted two. This is one at 5.5. I submitted another survey with the actual rate set, you know, the
Yep.
approved.
I got two of them here, so, yes,
Yeah.
there were two here. Now, why did you give us two?
Well, the first one I had done was before the meeting with DEM, and then the second one I had done was after the meeting with DEM.
And did they say that, like, they don't like it that close, and they won't accept it being
No, I
that
actually
close?
didn't have this to give DEM in the meeting, you know, like I got it done literally that day, like I got it on PDF, so I didn't get to send it to them before we had the meeting that we talked about it.
Okay.
But they had said that as close to the front of the lot as possible, and so I just asked my surveyor if he could do two copies, one, you know, one with the closer and one with what could be approved without me asking for a variance.
So the 9.9 is really the one that,
Would you
You should
do it
stick with.
approved? Yes, yes.
okay, thank you. That's good to know. All right, so anyone have any thoughts?
Okay,
Ms.
wait a
Hicks?
minute. So now setback is no longer an issue, correct? Because we're going to go with the 9.9?
We'd have to anyway,
Okay, all right.
so,
Mr. Chairman, I
Yeah.
just put on the monitor here the correct survey showing the 9.9
okay,
with the 80 square foot shed.
perfect. So, like I was saying, it is odd that, you know, that I think the concerns are people using a lot, other than, well, when there's not a dwelling, they're using, and there's a shed, it tends to suggest that they're using the shed for more than just a shed. So that's the issue.
Let me just ask this, and Jamie, and I'm not sure if you know this, but would the shed being here foreclose the possibility of a dwelling at some point down the line?
Or would it prohibit a dwelling? Is it, you know, historically, we've allowed somebody to convert an existing, you know, dwelling into an accessory dwelling unit. I think the same could be said if this lot were deemed buildable at some time, that the shed could become, you know, an accessory structure to that dwelling.
In other words, it's possible that there could be a house on this lot at some point.
It may be some time, but yeah, absolutely, for zoning purposes, yeah.
Just, you know, with regulations changing as they do, and with technology changing as it does, certainly the climate is going to change. I don't know if that's going to make this wetter or not as wet, but I guess my point is, we've seen development in town and elsewhere on lots that were previously thought to be or even deemed to be unbuildable. So I think, you know, the zoning board, if you decide that a shed could go on at some point, it's possible that it could be down the line still improved with a dwelling at some point.
So if let's say that is going to, I mean, let's say that he can't build, the only thing he can use the property for is a shed. Now, is that, because other than that, there's no use of this property because he can't build on it. So is this, like, can he get his permitted, like, use? Like, can he?
I think that's for the board to determine whether use of the property without this modest storage structure, this 80-square foot shed, amounts to beneficial use, or if depriving him of the opportunity to build this would result in a denial of all beneficial use. Typically, we think of beneficial use as a right to develop a property, not just, you know, go on a property. The typical case of a use variance, maybe, you know, someone, an abandoned gas station where only residential use is permitted, and they want to do something different. Nobody wants to build a house where a gas station used to be. So if you can't build anything there, that might be considered denial of all beneficial use. Even if you can, you know, walk on the property, and even if it may have lakefront access or, you know, some other benefit, I think development is considered, you know, beneficial use. But that's the ultimate issue for the board to decide. I think another thing that you can consider is, you know, there is room, I guess, for a modest dwelling. It's not as if he's asking to put the shed in the middle of the lot.
Right. No, and just by the nature of the neighborhood, it seems like that there are sheds dotted and randomly. You know, it's not as if they're all in the back or anything like that, so. Okay. So based on that, does anyone else have any thoughts? Mr. Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, this is a tough one because there are two hurdles he has to clear. One is a shed being in front of the property, which is not allowed in our ordinance. And the second is the primary dwelling. Based on a DEM study and looking at the lot and the testimony that we have on file, I don't know how a primary dwelling could ever exist on that lot. But anyway, that's possible. Thirdly, I guess, is the fact that I'm not so sure that this modest structure would be out of keeping with the neighborhood. I don't think it detracts in any great measure from that neighborhood. And I do think that he has use of the lot to a degree, but does he really? I mean, keeping bicycles and boats and fishing gear laying out in the yard, covering it with blue tarps would be worse, I think, for the neighborhood. It's a tough one. I'm inclined to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Anyone else have any thoughts? Mr. McDonald?
Sure, thanks. Again, as Mr. Daniels says, I'm torn between this because when you look at the DEM letter, it clearly states, you know, the site is all swamp, all buffer within the buffer zone, okay? So that gives me pause, as well as when you look at an accessory building, accessory to what? To nothing. It's not accessory to anything. So that's on one hand. And then we also, when I look at, would he be deprived of all beneficial use of the property if we said no? And again, that's hard for me to judge based on what his beneficial use is. Then on the other part is, you know, as someone who lives nowhere near this area, but kind of near the water, I would, or near a lake or a salt pond or whatever, I would much rather see a small, and this is a very small shed, versus a bunch of tarps and pop-up tents in the middle of a lot. So that's kind of where I'm balancing, you know, what is, you know, I'm hearing from the DEM. I did have one, I guess, maybe I should have asked it earlier. I believe when the applicant went in front of the DEM, he showed the shed being 5.5 feet. And then this is the new survey showing it back. Is that correct?
It came to us 9.9 feet away, And then the DEM in their letter suggested instead of 10 feet, try for 5.
Okay, okay. Because I know the DEM also said that it's the potential spot. So in all clarity and all transparency, DEM did not say this is the spot where this shed should go. That's not how I read the letter. I read it as a potential spot it could be placed. And it also said the accuracy of the survey is critical as part of that. So even though we're talking a few different feet, given the whole place is swamp or buffer, I think we have to balance that all in. So again, it's a tough one. But when I look at it, I think I would rather see a small shed on a property than a bunch of tarps blowing around all the time.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Mr. Elio or Ms. Hicks, do you guys have, anyone want to add?
Yeah, I would agree with Mr. Daniels. I'm a little torn. My original thoughts were that this is an accessory structure and there is no primary structure. It's a non-buildable lot, and certainly if we were to move ahead with the original request, which was 10 by 20, would we be setting a new standard by allowing the general characteristics of the area to be altered? Having said that, I do agree that the applicant has every use to use the lot for its enjoyment, and that a reduced shed, if it's used for its intent, would certainly make that lot, I think, more desirable to the neighbors as far as having less items out that could be either destroyed or stolen or misplaced. I do think that if the shed, if it is approved, is used for anything other than storage, I think the town has the ability to monitor that and issue a violation, which would have that applicant back here to address that. So there is some, I guess, provisions that if the shed is used for anything other than its intent, there will be some monitoring of that. I'm sure the neighbors will. So beyond that, but I am torn. This is not, I don't want to set a standard to have other people follow that would create more headaches.
Okay, Ms. Hicks, or?
Well, I think as my fellow board members have already stated, this is an unusual situation. It's not something that we've dealt with before. But we're being asked to approve this today. So we can't really look ahead to whether at some point, if the lot drains enough, Mr. Ford could potentially build a house. I mean, that's just out of our purview right now. So if we deal with everything that exists today, I'm of the opinion that were I to live in that neighborhood, I would much rather see a nice new shed go up to house his children's bicycles, their life jackets, fishing gear, whatever, than to have a blue tarp blowing around out there, or, the picture Mr. Daniels had of that sort of structure that was open on one side. I think it had firewood in it, was it? That, to me, is far less attractive than a nice, small 8x10 shed. So I will vote for the applicant's request.
Yeah, I tend to agree with the, typically, I think if we're saying it was precedent-based, then having a structure, or having a outbuilding before a structure, just doesn't make sense. But I think in this case, I think it would restrict his beneficial use of the property, and it is a small shed, so. So does someone want to make a motion, or want me to make it? Since I have the mic on. Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the petition of Tyson Ford of 95 Inkberry Trail in Narragansett for the property located at 0 Tomahawk Trail South. We had, oh geez, sorry. Before us, we had Mr. Ford present to us over a couple meetings. Thank you. The plan to put up a shed before a house, and we certainly talked about the fact that it is a wet property, and we continued the petition for an additional meeting to get some clarification from DEM. And I think hearing from DEM and knowing that this property is in fact either a wetland or a buffer, pretty much all of it, pretty much the only thing that can be put on this property is that shed. Also we heard from Ms. Jane Bissett, and in the previous meeting, we heard from additional neighbors as well that were concerned about changing the neighborhood and the fact that this particular building would be establishing a precedent for others to be able to put a building up without a premises. But as I mentioned, that this is isolated only to this structure and this property. With the application, we had, like I said, we had several variations of a plot plan, and we are going to go with the plot plan. It doesn't have any identifying marks on it other than it is 9.9 feet front setback. It is 2.8 feet from the side setback, and it is an 8 by 10 shed of 80 square feet. And this will be going on, I don't even have a cardinal direction on this. So it's going on the front side adjacent to the road. We also had, again, a number of letters from neighbors, again, that were not supporting this. But so we do believe the board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure, and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to any physical or economic disability of the applicant. So, and this is because, like I said, it is as identified by DEM, it is mostly a wetland or a buffer. So this is the hardship is due to the unique characteristics of this land, that he cannot build on it, but he does want to get beneficial use of the property by storing items that they will use for recreational activities in a shed, in this 8 by 10 shed. We do find that the hardship is not due to the result of any prior action of the applicant, because this is their first petition for this property, and there were no other issues with it related to us. There were other things brought up for other agencies in DEM, but that did not have anything to do with this. The board finds that granting the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or comprehensive plan upon this ordinance is based. And this was brought up, that there are concerns that this is changing the general character of the surrounding area. But as we discussed as a board, and as I believe, is the facts of this, is that there are many sheds in the area, but this will be the only property that just has a shed. But based on the fact that this is a unique property and that it is fairly wet, that it only can have a shed at this point, but it doesn't make it out of character because there are other properties that do have a shed. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional or the use variance is not granted, will amount to more than a mere inconvenience, which means that the relief sought is minimal and reasonable to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use of the property. And this is the case because they did reduce the size of the shed. He tried to reposition it a little bit closer to the road, but the 9.9 feet is as close as he can get without having a dimensional variance. But we feel that the use of a shed on this property will not or if he didn't have this shed on the property, then he wouldn't have a beneficial use, and that there really is no way to use this land in a reasonable way if that shed weren't there. So obviously, this is subject to the condition that DEM does approve the location of the shed. But other than that, I will make a motion to approve. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Elia. Any other discussion?
I'll just note that that will be, as a conditional approval, this will have a 2-year expiration.
Okay, so noted that this will have a 2-year expiration because they do need additional approvals from other agencies. You second that, Mr. Elia?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Elia? Aye. Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Mr. Daniels? Aye. Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck, Mr. Ford. All right. I just messed myself up. No, it's fine. I just was saving a few things for next meeting. All right. Next, we have the petition of Joni Ladon. Are they here tonight? All right, excellent. 341 Sweet Allen Farm Road of South Kingstown for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to legalize a previously constructed deck attached to a dwelling. The deck is located 27.4 feet from the rear property line, and the rear yard setback is 30 feet. Therefore, a relief of 2.6 is requested. Lot size is 0.23 acres. A dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 401. Schedule of dimensional regulations in section 907 are standards of relief. Owners of the property are James and Joni Ladon for the premises located at 341 Sweet Allen Farm Road, South Kingstown. Assessors map 48-4 and is lot 98 and is zoned R20. Good evening. Just make sure you turn on our mic for us. Hit that button with the little body under it. Yep, excellent. And just please state and spell your names for me.
Joni Ladon, Joni Ledone.
Okay.
James Ladon, Jamesledone.
And do you swear
James
to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Do we have to check your license just to make sure you're you? All right. So tell us what you guys have done.
Do you want me to say?
Go.
Okay, so we had a deck, we had it fixed up because the wood was getting rotted, and we had it fixed up, and it ended up to be a little over 2 feet larger than I guess it's supposed to be. So we're seeking approval to have our deck approved. It's a little bigger than it should be, 2.5 feet, I think. So we're hoping to get a variance approval for that.
So they're fixing a deck and it got a little bigger?
Yeah.
I won't ask. So, all right. It's already built. Okay. And what is behind you guys? Like, who's behind you? Anyone? Anything?
Just open space.
Just open space?
You can talk.
So, did you add the stairs? Is that the problem? Is that the thing you did?
There was extra, the stairs that we added, because I went from wood to Trex.
Okay.
So that what we did is we put down 2 more extra steps on the perimeter of the original deck.
Got it.
And that's what it is.
That's your 200. Okay, so it did grow. That's all right.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Board members, any questions?
How did you learn you were over the limit? How did you learn you were 2 feet over the limit?
What's that?
How
We
did you
learned that
know?
We were over the limit, the building inspector.
Oh, we had it surveyed.
Okay.
Surveyed, yes.
And the surveyor told you you need a couple of feet of relief, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I visited the lot. It's very tasteful, very nice. I think they did an excellent job, so it came out beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Board members, any other questions? No? Do you guys want to add anything else?
No, we hope we can keep our deck.
so.
I hope so too. So, all right. Okay, so we're all set with you guys. I'm going to ask if there's anybody else that wants to say anything on this, on your behalf.
Okay,
right.
thank you.
But otherwise, doesn't sound like we need anything else. Thank you. All right, anyone else out there want to speak on behalf of this applicant, for or against? No? Okay. Mr. Elia, how are you feeling about this one?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application of Ms. Joni Ladon. At a meeting held on Wednesday, February 18th, Ms. Joni Ladon of 341 Sweet Allen Farm in South Kingston provided an application. The additional representative, Mr. James Ladon, spoke in behalf. There were no individuals that spoke in opposition. However, the board did receive letters of support from neighbors Dan and Amy Thies, if I pronounced that right, and Charles and Lori Marshall. The applicants presented to the board application number ZBR-25-42, assessors map 48-4, and the lot is zoned R20. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the land and structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant, excepting those physical disabilities addressed in 45-24-30. Applicant is simply requesting to gain approval for an existing deck that is 27.4 feet from the rear property line. The setback is 30 feet, therefore the applicant is seeking 2.6 feet of relief. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant. Board further finds that granting of the requested variance will not alter the general characteristics of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. The board therefore finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of this subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than an inconvenience, meaning that the relief sought is minimal to the reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed to be devoted.
Okay. Motion is made by Mr. Elia. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hicks. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Elia?
Aye.
Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald? Mr. Daniels? Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Or, I hope we enjoy it. All right, so next is the petition of Kevin Cahill. Are they here? All right, 125 Charles Lane, Hebron, Connecticut, 06248, for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a two-story garage attached to a single-family dwelling. The garage would be located 23.1 feet from the rear property line. The setback is 35 feet, therefore a relief of 11.9 feet is requested. Lot size is 0.52 acres, and the dimensional variance is required per our zoning ordinance 401 and section 907. Owners of the property are Kevin and Pamela Cahill for the premises located at 151 North Whedon Road, South Kingstown, assessors map 86-3, and is lot 168 and is zoned R20. So come on up. And turn on the mic and state and spell your name, please.
Kevin, K-E-V-I-N, Cahill, C-A-H-I-L-L.
And do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So please tell us what you'd like to do with your garage.
Well-
Not with it, but
Well, first, we have a house here that we purchased just before COVID, so we've been here for 6 years and hope to retire here in the not-too-distant future. We love it here. We love the house. We love the town. My wife Pam is on the board of our Little Matunuck Community Association, which is close to our house, and we've got great neighbors. So we'd like to build, as you said, an attached two-car garage with some space above it to be used as an office and hopefully at some point as a place our grandkids might use. And one of the things we love about the house is the amount of natural light we have. The second, you'll see pictures in a second, but the second story has palladium windows in the front, lots of glass in the back, and 4 skylights in the roof. The first floor has a lot of natural light as well, in part because of a wall of windows we have in the kitchen which would be significantly impacted if we put a garage in front of those windows. So we'd like to put the garage a little further back on our lot. There are two other probably more important reasons why we'd like to put the garage a little further back. One has to do with optics, and you can see from this picture, and being architecturally appropriate. Our property is a bit unique in that our lot slopes a fair amount from the street to the front of the house. We were told by some neighbors that the first owner who built the house had a design in mind, but had a height restriction to comply with, and so he built the house a little lower than the road. And if you walk by or do the Google Street thing, you can see that you can't really see much of the first floor. Mr. Gorman, if you want to take up the other pictures that I had, the last adjustment, the last attachment I made, just to see the next part that I'm going to talk about, if you don't mind. I think I added them last week. Otherwise, maybe you guys had the pictures. I can give them to me if you want.
I think we have them.
Yeah, that's good. If you want to go to the second or third slide, it kind of shows you the first floor that I was just mentioning there. So one neighbor refers to our place as the house in the hole, and you can kind of see why. So the garage with the office will be slightly taller than the house, and by placing it a little further back on the property, we think it will fit in better with the characteristics of the house and with the neighborhood. Last thing, we've had significant water issues in our basement in the past because of the slope of the land, sometimes getting 4 to 6 inches of water after a storm. And while that's been somewhat mitigated with a sump pump we had installed, it would be a little less of a concern if we're able to build a garage just back a little further on a lot where the land flattens out, and any runoff of groundwater wouldn't hopefully go under the wraparound deck we have and potentially into the basement. Interestingly, we had a builder out to take a look at doing the project a couple of weeks ago, and as he walked down the slope of my driveway that you can see there, he said, "You're gonna have a water problem with this garage," because the cars were parked where they are now. And I said, well, we're hoping to put the garage a little further back where it would be less of a problem. Both sides of our lot, if you want to go to that first picture again, both sides are lined with tall arborvitae trees that belong to our neighbors on either side. You can kind of see that, and I've kind of I don't think that X is to scale, but I just kind of showed where the garage was going to be. So large arborvitae trees on both sides, and the neighbors on either side owns those, and the trees behind where the garage would be are about 40 feet tall, and you can see that in the fourth slide, I guess, if you go a couple more down. I actually measured them with this app that I have. They all belong to the neighbors behind us, so the garage won't really be visible to any abutters except for our neighbors across the street. And that's something we're sort of sensitive to. So along with the legal notice that we sent on January 25th, we sent a letter to the same folks on November 5th, letting them know that we're hoping to build a garage. We included the plans and told them that we're going to apply for a variance because we wanted to place this garage a little further back in the yard. And we made it easy for them. We included a self-addressed stamped envelope and said, hey, let us know if you're okay with this or not. Of the 15 abutters on the list, we received notes back from 12 of them, and all of them were good with it. And I have copies of those if you should need those for some reason, but we've received no negative feedback, and no one has raised any concerns to us. And that's all I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
So you're going to extend your driveway down to the garage, I'm assuming?
Yes, that's the plan.
Yeah, okay. All right, questions from board members? Mr. Elia?
I was able to visit this property. I was there in the afternoon, which was ideal because, as Mr. Cahill had mentioned, the natural sunlight coming into the house. So I do think that this was very well thought out. I think the garage was placed appropriately because, as he has described, if the garage was placed differently, it would remove quite a bit, if not all, the natural light coming into the house, which would really take away from that aspect of the house. So I think this is very well thought out, and I think the placement is ideal.
Mr. Daniels?
Thank you. Just curious, your address is Hebron, Connecticut. Is this a summer residence or a rental or?
No, we don't rent the property. It's a second home, and we spend about 50% of our time down here right now.
Well, come on and stay longer.
You talk to my wife about that, all right? Yeah. We're planning on it. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments, board members? Yeah, sure, Ms.
This the upstairs is going to be for primary use. This will not be a rental, correct?
That's correct. We will not be renting the property.
Thank you.
Self off. Anything else you want to add?
No, but is there anything else you want to add, dear? Oh, okay, thanks.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you. We'll see if anybody else wants to speak on behalf. So, does anyone else want to speak on behalf of this petition, for or against? Nope. Okay. Yeah, as Mr. Elia said, it seems very thoughtful and well-placed. So, I don't particularly have any issue. You wanted to make a motion?
I'll
No?
make a motion.
Man, you're on a roll.
I'll make a motion to approve the application of Mr. Kevin Cahill and Ms. Pamela Cahill. At a meeting held on Wednesday, February 18th, Mr. Kevin Cahill of 125 Charles Lane in Hebron, Connecticut, for the property at 151 North Whedon Road, presented his application. Mr. Cahill spoke alone regarding the application. He did mention that there were 12 letters of support regarding this project, and they would be available if requested. There was no opposition to the request or to the application. The following materials were entered into the record by Mr. Cahill, which is application ZBR-2544 for assessed map 86-3, which is zoned R20. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant, excepting those physical disabilities addressed in 452430. Applicant is requesting to construct a two-story garage for personal use only. The garage will be 23.1 feet from the rear property line. The required setback is 35 feet. Therefore, the applicant is requesting 11.9 feet of relief. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant. The board further finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. The board therefore finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of this project, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere convenience, meaning that the relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed to be devoted to.
Okay, motion was made by Mr. Elia. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Daniels. Any other discussion? Mr. Elia?
Aye.
Mr. Daniels? Aye. Mr. McDonald? Aye. Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Of course. All right, so next we have the petition of Kate Ray of 27 Eldred Court, Wakefield, 02879, for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a two-story addition to the single-family dwelling. The addition will be located 2.7 feet from the west side of the property line. The required yard setback is 8.2 feet, therefore relief of 5.5 feet is requested. Lot size is 0.19 acres. A dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 205, single non-conforming records of lot, and section 907 are standards of relief. Owners of the property are Rajan and Ray and Kate Fox for premises located at 27 Eldred Court, South Kingstown, Assessor's Map 56-3, Lot 34, and is zoned R10. Hi, guys. So please state and spell your names, please.
Kate, K-A-T-E, Ray, R-A-Y.
Rajan Ray, R-A-J-A-N-R-A-Y.
Excellent. And you guys both swear to tell the truth and nothing but it. Excellent. So what would you guys like to do with the house?
So we're gonna remove our existing garage and add a little bump out to basically attach a garage to our house. So we're adding a little bit under 200 square feet to what the existing footprint of all the dwellings on the property are. And yeah, so the garage is actually moving a tiny bit off the property line from where it was and forward, so they can meet the house. We played around with a lot of different design ideas. to get, basically, we're looking to add a first floor bedroom to the house to accommodate older relatives visiting and things like that, and to get a little more kitchen space in the house.
So you guys are making it better, meaning that you're not going to be as close to the property line and you're actually
Right.
attaching it to the building as well.
Correct.
So it's not going to be just freestanding building anymore.
Right.
Is there a second floor to it as well?
There's like a loft space planned for over the garage.
But not like a finished space, ADU, like kitchen, bathrooms, all that fun stuff up there?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Any questions for board members of these guys? Yeah, it's a great little property. So, not little, it's a great property.
It is.
I don't want to demean it by saying, but it just.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of space to deal with. Yeah.
No, it's going to be nice to have that extra
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
I'm excited for you guys. Okay. No, it all seems real straightforward. I appreciate the fact that you guys are improving sort of the location of the structure so it's not as close to the side yard. And, you know, you're enough distance away. Is there a fence or a hedge or anything in between you and your neighbors?
No, it's basically the driveway is the property line.
Okay.
And then their house, yeah.
So, but it is giving you access and room to be able to work on the building and without being on their property and all that fun stuff, which we do appreciate when people are building stuff.
Yeah.
So, but no, it looks like a great space. So, all right, you guys want to add anything else?
I don't think so.
I know, I wish all the early ones were this easy, right? All right.
I'll talk about sheds, maybe want
Do you want a shed too? I mean, you know, you can. So, okay, if there's anything else, we'll have you guys come back up, but we'll see how everyone feels about it, so thank you. All right, anyone want to speak on behalf of this petition for or against? Otherwise? So, yeah, like I said, it's a great street, a lot of great buildings, and this is going to be a real improvement to the neighborhood, no doubt. So, anybody have any thoughts, questions, concerns? And nobody's out there? Okay.
Oops, I have one quick question.
Yeah, sure.
And this may be more for you. From a contractor's point of view, if they only have a 2.7-foot space between the side of the garage and the property line, can you actually get people in there to work on it, to shingle it, or whatever needs to be done? And I don't know, we haven't had any type of letter from the abutter saying, absolutely not on my property, like we have previously.
Yeah, I mean, 3 feet is ideal, actually, you know, so any less than that, it gets a little harder. I mean, certainly if you're digging, 3 feet is almost just where you want to be, especially if you're going to do it from, I mean, I know we've had other petitions here where people are literally on the property line, and that's not, especially when the neighbors object to it. But it's a good community over there. I think everyone should be okay with it, especially if they didn't bring it up. No, even if someone were to put up a fence or anything like that, they'd still have easy access to that elevation of the building. All right. Anyone care to make a motion or?
All right, at a meeting held on February 18th, 2026, regarding the petition of Kate Ray, 27 Eldred Court, Wakefield, to construct a 2-story addition to their single-family dwelling. This 2-story addition would be primarily a garage with, I believe you said, another bedroom and some more kitchen space, okay? And speaking for, well, Ms. Ray and Mr. Ray appeared as representatives because they are the applicants, and we didn't have anyone speak in support of the request other than the applicants. We didn't have anyone speak in opposition to the request, and we also mentioned that all materials pertinent were entered into the record. So, the board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to a physical or economic disability of the applicant, excepting those physical disabilities addressed in 45243016, because they will need to move closer to the property line to be able to put in that two-car garage. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant, because they will be taking down a garage that right now sits on the property line and replacing it with this new structure. The board finds that granting the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based, because certainly a two-car garage is perfect to go along with the house and certainly fits into that neighborhood very well. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience, meaning that relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed to be devoted, because currently they have an existing detached smaller garage, and they would like to replace it with a bigger garage with additional space attached to the house. So I'm going to move that we approve this application.
Excellent. Motion was made. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Elio. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Elio? Aye. Mr. McDonald? Aye. Mr. Daniels? Aye. Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck, guys. Enjoy it. Okay. Next, we have the petition of Robert Rinaldi, 26 Quarry Road, Medfield, Mass. 02052, for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a detached accessory dwelling unit, also a detached barn, and an addition to the existing dwelling. The lot area is 14,133 square feet, whereas 20,000 is required to establish an ADU. Relief of 5,867 square feet is requested. The ADU will consist of 884 square feet in floor area. The maximum floor area permitted is 803. Therefore, a relief of 81 square feet is requested. The proposed building height of the ADU is 21.6. The maximum accessory is 15 feet. Therefore, a relief of 6.6 is requested. The barn will be located 3 feet from the side yard. The required side yard accessory structure setback is 6 feet. Therefore, 3 feet is requested. The proposed building height of the barn is 18 feet, therefore 3 feet is requested of relief. The dwelling addition will be 22.26 feet from the side property line. The required yard setback is 10 feet, therefore a relief of 7.74 feet is requested. Lot size is 0.3 acres, and the dimensional variance per the zoning ordinance is section 401, schedule of dimensional regulations, and section 907 are standards of relief. The owner of the property is Robert Rinaldi for premises located at 382 Woodruff Ave, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 57-4, Lot 123 is zoned R10. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Chris O'Connor. I'm an attorney at Blish and Kavanaugh. Our office is located in Providence. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicants. I do have Mr. Rinaldi, who is here to testify, as well as Lori Giatari.
Okay. Do you want to swear them in right now? Or?
Sure.
Okay. So why don't you guys just please spell and state your names? Or state and then spell.
Lori Giuttari, Lori Giuttari.
Okay.
Bob Rinaldi, Bobrinaldi.
And you both swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Excellent. So please, go ahead. So this is a very unique property in the fact that it was a hair salon for
Yes.
quite some time.
It is. It certainly is. As long as I can remember, I've been in the town for 26 years. It's been a hair salon.
Yes.
So it's a unique property in that they are removing, what's being proposed is to remove, they actually, in fact, have already removed the non-conforming use they've applied for a building permit, and we certainly can, in just a few moments, have the client address where they are with respect to the structure, the main structure. But it is returning to, it is removing the non-conforming use, it is returning to residential. It's unique, the lot is also unique, I think, because of it's a pass-through lot. Its frontage on both Meadow and Woodruff makes it unique. It is a tight lot for sure. I think probably all board members, even without seeing this application, have probably driven by that property numerous times for one reason or another. One of the other things that will occur with the removal of the non-conforming use and returning it to residential is a lot of the lot is paved from front to back. Most, if not all, of that pavement will be removed. So it will be restoring the property to more of a landscape and natural state than that impervious parking lot. Lastly, the lot is unique as well as the way it's shaped. It starts narrow on Woodruff, it moves back to that wider, and gets wider towards the back end of the lot, the back half of the lot. I do have both individuals here tonight to testify and give you where they are, what they're proposing, why they're proposing, what they intend to do. I thought that it makes sense to start with the structure that's there and existing. There is a request for relief for a dimensional variance from the side boundary there. That structure, it actually, in looking at the survey and looking at the site map, sits on the property line for all intents and purposes. What's being proposed to bump out to 240 square feet, which still requires relief, is in fact moved, even though it does require relief, it is further from the property line than the existing structure. So maybe we can start, I'd like to try and move as efficiently as possible in terms of where they are and what's being requested, and then certainly any questions that you may have. So I'll tell you where we begin. We're going to begin on the existing structure. So if you could just introduce yourself, you have, but what your relationship is to the lot, the property, and Mr. Rinaldi.
Yeah. So we are.
Just make sure you get close enough to the mic, that's all.
So Bob and I are moving to Wakefield, and we found this unique property and fell in love with the location and the space, and it met all the things that we wanted in a home, near the bike path, near the downtown, near the water. And so we looked at the structure and thought, we can make this a nice house. And since we started that, we found a small house inside a larger house and have since, I don't know how much you want me to go into, but it's been a lot.
So the property was purchased earlier in 2025, correct? Mm-hmm. Yes?
Yes.
And since then, you have pulled a building permit to essentially restore the existing structure from a business to a residence, is that correct?
Yes.
And and it, as you just mentioned, is a challenge, but that is ongoing, that is happening right now.
Yeah, today, we've had the entire house gutted. There's all new plumbing, all new electric, all new HVAC, all new windows, all asbestos removed, the new insulation in the crawl space. I think just today it passed the rough inspections for electrical and plumbing, I believe. Mechanicals. And so they've just started the siding and we continue. It's,
Okay, so it's clearly nowhere near living in, correct? Yes, but when it does reach that point where a CO can be issued, it's your intent to make that your primary residence, correct?
Yes.
Both of you?
yes, yes.
Okay. And the relief that you're requesting with respect to this structure, the existing structure, is towards the rear, correct? You can see the image on the survey on the screen, right?
Yes.
So what's the purpose of this bump out?
Well, it's, the house was about 1,350 square feet, and then you see the front porch took up about 50 or 60 feet of it. So we're left with about 1,300 feet to put 2 beds and two baths in it. And we want to add 240 square feet to the back for a family room.
Okay. And the board, I do believe, as part of the application, we have submitted a floor plan for the main structure. And we've also submitted one for the ADU. And you're asking for relief from the property line, and in fact, this 240 square foot bump out will be further away from the existing property line, is that right?
Yes.
But there's no question you need zoning relief for.
As we understand it, yes.
Yes, okay. So, your other plans for this lot, there's currently no garage, no shed, no accessory structure or any other structure other than the building that's being renovated, correct?
Correct.
It's just a parking lot,
It's just a paved parking lot?
paved parking lot.
Okay. So can you tell the board briefly what your plan and vision is with respect to the barn